So how much have you made since you became profitable?
Around 50 grand. So 21,000 and 14,000 on that. I lost, an annual income for the average American until I met Jesse. And then I hit like 20-point trades, like I think 24 hours after we talked.
All right, Julian, so introduce yourself. Tell everybody a little bit about you.
Well, obviously my name is Julian. I was a digital marketer and a degen gambler / trader for 5 years trying to make it work. Lost, tons of money, like 50, 60 grand. And, after we met, it definitely was an inflection point in my trading.
Hell yeah, man. So how much have you made since you became profitable?
Around 50 grand.
50 grand. Yeah, that's crazy, man. And it's one thing to like just make 50 grand, but also once you cross back over, like, okay, now, I'm out of the hole and I've made 50K, right? Like that's the thing. A lot of people, I think they're like, oh, I'm profitable because they maybe had a good week or a good month.
Yeah.
But you got to dig yourself out of all the challenges or all the money that you had lost.
Yep.
So, before, that point when you were profitable, what do you think, I guess just first off, tell a little bit about your situation, like as a trader specifically, like what kind of strategies were you trading?
Yeah.
This and that.
So like I kind of, interestingly enough, I feel like, a lot of your content is ICT related, and I actually had no idea I never even heard ICT before.
It's crazy.
For like 5 years, right? When basically I had a friend and a colleague that he was trading stocks and he started to make some money, and he particularly was getting into options. So, back then I was like, you know what, cool, I'm gonna try this. I tried to learn from him. I think I went through a lot of the stuff that anybody does initially. Like I read the Candlestick Bible and whatever, all these books. I started drawing like Illuminati triangles all over the charts, and obviously that didn't work. So, I lost a couple grand then, but I was like, I knew like I didn't know what I was doing. So I was like, all right, I'm just missing, some knowledge or something. Like I'm just gonna continue to go learn. That lasted like 2 years, and at the end of 2 years, I don't know how much I was down. I was down well over $10,000 at that point, trying strategy after strategy, mentor after mentor. I was like in 12 Discord groups, like with signals, and like it was so frustrating. He's like, yeah, this looks good. We're short. Oh, we're profitable. Let's go, boys. Lock in. Dubs in the chat. And I'm just sitting here like I'm like, what the fuck did I just miss? Like I don't. So I felt like, after all this time, I still had no idea what I didn't know, to the point that I was like watching live traders trade and I couldn't even like follow along. So I was really discouraged at that point. I honestly was just like, all right, I'm done with this. Like there's so many other markets and so many other ways to trade. Maybe it's just this. I got connected to a friend of mine he was making a ton of money trading futures, and he was the one who introduced me to prop firms in the first place. And I'm like 3 years deep, into trading at this point. And he had, he had a really interesting strategy, just basically around trading the open and like a herp-a-derp off two lines. Yeah. That somehow he makes money off of. He still makes money that way. But at the end of the day, he taught me this, and he's like, okay, I trade with Apex, go trade with Apex. And I donated a lot of money in eval accounts to Apex over the years, and I got my girlfriend into it because I was like so excited about it. And just at the end of the day, like I never even like funded an account, like not even once. And I stopped, and I didn't know what I didn't know at this point. I didn't really know where to go for help. I couldn't tell you what my problem was, thus I couldn't ask for the solution.
All the above.
Yeah, everything was messed up. Yeah. And then eventually, when you and I accidentally crossed paths, right? And I was on a call, and I was just like, the way that you were talking, stuff like that, I'm like, these are things I haven't necessarily heard before. So, let me see if I can, somehow get this guy to take a look at my stuff, get 15 minutes out of him. And obviously, the first time that we talked, you looked at my stuff, and you're like, hey, you don't know what ICT stuff is. You should probably go look. Here are some of the resources and whatnot. But one of the things that made a lot of sense to me was the concept of time-based liquidity. And I didn't even adopt like the full strategy at the time that you taught. All I did was take that and layer it on top of the thing that I was already doing. And that moved me from literally gambling to having consistent 60, 70% like winning trades. And the biggest thing was the amount of profit per trade exponentiated. Like if I had 5 points in a trade before, I was like, yeah, good day.
That's
and
wild, man.
And then I hit like 20 point trades. Like I think 24 hours after we talked, it was something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, a lot of futures traders I've noticed, like outside of the ICT realm, they go for like, I've seen people trade these things like wick tests where they're literally just like catching like 2-tick moves with a bunch of contracts. And that's like kind of a popular way that a lot of the bigger traders trade. And some people trade profit. It's like the guy you said with the 2-line strategy. At the end of the day, it's really just about having a defined system, right? Like something that, you know, when you look at the screens, you either have a trade or you don't, and you have discipline to that. So I feel like, you know, time-based liquidity, just adding it into your strategy, gave you more of a clear framework, and that's really where the value is. It could have been, you know, time-based liquidity. It could have been any of the other, you know, different ICT concepts or strategies I teach, and that's why like so many people they trade ICT, and you have all these people you see that are, you know, that are profitable, that are trading completely different, but it's all based on the same idea. But the common thing that all of those people have is they have an edge that they truly understand and that they actually have that rational confidence in, right? So like after you hit some of those trades, I remember it was just like, you know, you realize like, okay, this actually works, and you started seeing consistency. I mean, you had some pretty crazy days too.
Yeah,
You had like it was like a 20 something.
Dude, I literally like, well, first of all, it's like, it's literally like on my TikTok right now. Like the second I hit it, I literally took my phone out. I'm like, guys, I just hit this. Like, look at this. But like, it's literally saved. It's literally saved in my phone. Like this was a trade. It's just like gigantic move, and like that, like I swear, like it was like the dopamine rush that I got on that trade. It was so crazy, and like the crazy thing too is like this was like a day or two after. And this was the P&L on that. That was
2 accounts. Those are 2 PAs.
Yeah, I had a $21,300 trade and $14,000. We'll need to like give you a screenshot or something.
Show them up there. You can
Yeah. Here, I'll just walk it up. So 21,000 and what was the other one? 14,000 on that. Absolutely ridiculous. And I had never seen I never did that. Like I never saw a number like that ever. Like even on a unfunded like eval account, like I never saw a number like that. So that was just absolutely unreal. When I mean you can. My girlfriend knows, like I was running around the house. And I was like
making TikToks.
Yeah, exactly. It was sick. So it was sick.
You know, I know you said time-based liquidity. Like that's like one of that was like the, you know, I guess the one concept that kind of made stuff like click. But you know, would you say, because I know you said you started to just apply it to the other strategy, but then you started going a little bit deeper and actually using I think you were using the silver bullet a little bit, or you were using the time-based silver bullet, not just the basic one. But what would you say, you know, how much has your strategy changed since before you knew ICT to now?
Pretty substantially. So, you know, as time has gone on, I find more and more that I'm retiring some of the old things for me. Like even though I started to find, you know, something that seemed to be consistent enough and probably could work, it's just I disliked when I'd have like the way that my mental organization went was I would have one particular type of trading strategy on one account, and that way I could kind of like test to see the financials of it. What I didn't like was like the more I was going into the material that you know you had made us, other stuff that you were sending over to me, I would see the old way that I could do things, and I could see like the new way of doing things on the chart, and I would find myself kind of like crossing strings and doing 2 strategies at once. So as time's gone on, I've kind of retired the old way I'm doing things when I see the opportunity to, you know, just do what you teach. Like in the beginning, I never touched fair value gaps. I was just like, oh. There's liquidity here. Let's just herp and derp all the contracts and go into the other direction.
Turtle soup.
Yeah, what can go wrong, right? And then ironically, like that was better than what I was doing before. But you know, then of course, like it's kind of important to have a system around whether or not you're going to enter or not.
Yeah, that's important because confirmation. It's crazy. I guess like I've just been doing it for so long that I don't even realize. But a lot of the people that I talk to and work with, they're just like, okay, so we've made it to this level. Like this is when you buy. I'm like, no, like this is when you go into a lower time frame and use the entry, right? That's the only time you should use a lower time frame. But it's kind of like you have step one. I always look at it's like a tripwire to look for an entry. Like once a key level is hit, now it's like okay, you're now actively looking on the lower time frame. But even then, because a lot of times like whenever you have people that call an analysis, they'll just call out.
It's like a general sentiment, and that's like
they'll call like okay, this key level, here's a level, and then. If the market goes there and goes up, they'll post after and say like, oh yeah, or if it doesn't. But it's just like, You just got to wait for the confirmation, because at the end of the day, you can call out a key level and have a plan. Like, I mean, I have plans all the time that end up being wrong.
Right, yeah.
Sometimes I lose money on them. Sometimes you can even make money on, oh, well, we're hitting this level. Price is not doing what I would want it to do for me to get an entry in my original idea, but it is doing the opposite of that. So there's a trade entry inside that as well. That's another thing that I think helps a lot
That
of
was
traders.
a big thing for me, because like, yeah, obviously, like the more that you do it, like you actually start to understand, like everything I'm doing you're trying to save yourself from losing trades. That's like all you're doing. And I feel like, I don't like talking that much smack, but I gotta say, like these dudes, particularly the ones that I've experienced with that were like, calling out signals and stuff, I feel like they're just sports gamblers. Like, you can always be right if you want to be.
Yeah, there's always that insurance. I like calling it insurance. Like, they'll be like, it's always the if. I don't know, like, they'll say like, if we are bullish from here, it's always a subjective condition. If this subjective condition happens, then we'll trade. And then it's like they wait till after the move plays out and they'll be like, either, oh yeah, here we go, or
called it.
It'll
Yeah,
be like,
right?
yeah, or it'll be like, oh no, there was no entry, there's no confirmation there.
My favorite is when it's like, oh, this is gonna happen, and then like, they don't participate, they're not anything, they're like predicted it, called it.
That's why I like trading. That's why I like trading live, because like, it definitely is like, it's not fun at first. Like, now I've actually gotten, I like trading live. I definitely like my privacy too, but it makes you more accountable. But a lot of people, they won't trade live. Like, they'll trade live, but they're really not trading live. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But I think at the end of the day, like, that's how people learn the most, because I like using this example. It's like, there's a book called How to Climb Mount Everest. So it's an actual book written by a guy who climbed Mount Everest 12 times. But like, if you go read that book and then go try to climb Mount Everest, you're gonna fucking die.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You're gonna die. So it's like, what is your chance of survival if you read the book and know all the information and the knowledge, versus if you actually shadowed this guy and looked over his shoulder.
Everything's implementation and this stuff.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like, it still is gonna be hard. Like, just like trading. Trading is gonna be hard no matter what. No matter if you have somebody that's literally practically telling you every last thing to do, it's still hard, because it's just a mental game, and it's a lot easier said than done. Everything can be made to sound nice and fancy, like, oh, once you have an edge, and then you just gotta have discipline. Yeah, that's true, but once you get in the field, it's hard. But your odds of success are much higher if you actually see it done and see it implemented, which is like, I think what so many people are looking for too, online, when they're trying to find like something to learn from. It's funny, I was actually looking at keywords on YouTube, like some of the most popular ones are live trading. Because it's just really, if you really want to learn from someone, you can learn on your own from trading. And it can be like, it just takes a little longer. But the only way to really learn from somebody, in my opinion, is, live trading, if you want to actually learn the implementation, So I think that was also a big thing that helped you as well.
100%, yeah. I mean, it was great getting feedback and stuff like, hey, here's what you did right or wrong. But like, hindsight being 20/20, when you have all the time in the world, is so different than, like, all you have is the last candle. Like, okay, what comes next?
Yeah, exactly. Or like, you have this strategy. I know for me, whenever I would watch ICT, you'd watch it and you're like, oh, this makes sense. Hell yeah. And then you go, it's like 9:30 a.m. and you're just like,
it makes no sense.
It's way different. This is different. What do I do? Yeah. No, it's so true though, man. It's so true. And you'll learn it either way. It's not like you have to watch someone else do it, but it's just definitely a shortcut for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. There's an intuition and a gut sense that you get. And like, this is, so I don't know, things start to, for what it's worth, like if anybody's watching this, it's like, your shit's all fucked up, it's not working, and you're trying to make sense of it. Like, all the stuff that you hear starts to make sense once you have a little bit of validation and consistency in the trading. Because like the reason why, like, you told me, it's like, okay, stop trading all day. Like, I sent him a picture. Like, you saw it. Like, there is no room on the chart to read the trades.
Just all orders.
Yes.
On
like
Ninja Trader.
Like, it's just,
it's so bad.
The more you try and the more effort that you put in isn't necessarily what makes it better. You're only going to ever become familiar with a very small set of variables. Yeah. It's like, if you're going to, whatever you're going to trade, like, pick a thing. Like, don't bounce around and look at a bunch of things, because they all move slightly different. If you're going to, and then for me, I thought that was like, oh, I was just focused on NQ, I'll be fine. It's like, no, like, you need to pick like a little window to trade, and that's it. And that's it. And these are just things that, like, that make sense in theory, but you have such a long checklist that only really starts to make sense, once you're able to see, okay, this worked, and then you just don't get cute. Like, all right, now I just need to repeat that thing again and again and again and again,
Yeah.
and let the law of large numbers, do its thing. It's the second that you start, it's the second that you start getting greedy, the second that you're like, oh, this is working, I'm gonna double down, and like, I haven't made money in trading in a long time, man. I'm ready for that 10 bands. Let's go. I'll just inch it up a little bit. It's just, that's where the things go wrong. So it's definitely like a discipline thing. But again, like the biggest thing I'll say, like from working with you, is just it was clarity on the shit that mattered, and you never brought up all the other stuff and all the other things that could bring, like, that could make sense. Not that there weren't observations you could make as we've continued to interact. Like, more things have come up and they've been contextual to the situation, but it isn't complicated if you don't make it complicated. There's only really a small set of variables that you actually need to pay attention to.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's awesome hearing you say that about like the law of large numbers thing, because coming from like when you were where you started, like literally, I swear to God, the whole chart on NinjaTrader, because it says like order 5 at the price, it was like on every fucking 1 minute candle. Like you probably have something.
I think I still have the photo might still be here.
But and touching another point, like like not.
Oh, actually, yeah.
You have it. Yeah, look at this. Look at this.
Let's show that. This is what successful trading looks like, guys. That's what your chart's supposed to look like. All right. All of those white lines are entries.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
Ridiculous.
When you showed me it, you were like, yeah, I think I'm over trading. And I was like, well, like, how much? He's like, what makes you think that? He showed me it, and I was like, bro, I've never seen something like that before.
I actually blew that account because of commission fees.
He blew it. That's crazy. That's actually nuts. A trailing drawdown by death by commission.
That's a
death
first.
by 1,000 commissions.
Yeah, no. Apex is like, hell yeah.
They're like, give this guy a discount code. No, but dude, yeah. But like what you're saying too about eliminating like the unessential. That's like something I just like. That's how I always am with everything in life too. Because like you have, whether it's trading or business, whatever, you have so much stuff going on at once, and like all of those things may be beneficial. Like if you want to get real linear and technical, yeah, there are a lot of things that you can do that are beneficial. Which ones actually matter? Which ones are going to be the biggest levers to pull, right? So it's like you have to focus on, because in trading it's such a multifaceted operation. You have to focus on what is the biggest, the needle moving activity, right? Like not how do I, because so many people, like I get asked by some people that aren't profitable. They're like, well, what about this strategy? It's not getting enough trades. I'm like, you want more trades to lose money on? Like, you know what I mean? But like people think like that makes sense for some reason.
I tried to speed up the law of large numbers there.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not how it works.
Yeah, dude, but it's cool, man, seeing how far you've come, bro. I'm proud of you. It's
I
sick,
appreciate
bro.
that.
Hell yeah, bro. Well, any last thoughts, any closing, like, talking to your older, or your younger, talking to your old self, your younger self.
That's confusing. But
yeah, I know. Talking to your younger self, you back before you were profitable. What do you think is, if you had, less than 30 seconds, what would you tell that version of yourself?
Pick your suck. Nothing is going to be easy. It's all going to suck. It's all going to be hard. You're going to hate it all, but you're going to have to go through that shit in order to actually make money on something. I wish I didn't jump thing to thing to thing to thing. Even if I started in options, and that's where I started. Had I just stuck in there and committed to solving that problem, I would have gotten there. I restarted way too many times. Sick.
So what would you say to somebody that's like on the fence about joining the mentorship and pulling the trigger?
I think it would be the stupidest decision to stay on the fence. I gotta be honest. Like, all right, listen, eyes here. I literally spent over $30,000 in just mentors. Like, and I know like everything out there is like, whatever, you have your $7 to $47, $100 a month Discords. No one gives a fuck about you at $100. Let's just call it what it is. Like, the financials don't work. You don't get anybody's time to actually focus on you at all. That's just not how it works. Anybody that's successful where you want to be tends to be making hundreds of thousands of dollars from this trade. So you're not going to get their time with a couple of $100, and unless you're an absolute savant, the thing that's going to help you is not information, but is the help and implementation. I'm not an egotistical I am an egotistical person, but I am very intelligent, and I do number stuff all day for a living. I couldn't figure it out. I needed somebody to come behind me and make sure, and like literally hold my hand trade and be like, this is how you correctly implement. Now does that make sense? And bring me through that 3, 4, 5 times. So if you're on the fence of doing something with somebody, Jesse is legitimate. I lost, an annual income for the average American until I met Jesse. 1, 2, he is actually a good teacher. He's not just a person that is a good trader and can show you stuff, but actually can help replicate it. He's one of the very few people that can actually replicate it and does that. I saw it with me, and there's tons of dudes that I actually watch go from zero. Like I'm not an anomaly in the mentorship. And then third and lastly, at the end of the day, I don't know what his prices are today, but he's undercharging. Because if I have the opportunity for me to take a conversation and instantly go into even if I got lucky hitting a 20 grand trade, just do the math on what happens if you can just be barely consistent and one person just helped you maybe fix that one last thing that's stopping you from being profitable. So that was a little bit long and ranty, but I like, there's not a lot of things I'm so passionate about and saying like you should take out your credit card and swipe, but if you are considering it and you do want help, there's a lot of guys like me that had a major inflection point when they met Jesse, and we went from slowly figuring it out, 1% gains, to an exponential spike to I got it, and now I'm gonna actually start making money with this thing. And it is thanks to this guy. So yeah, as for that, that's the honest truth.
Fuck yeah, man. Hey, I appreciate it, bro.
Of course.
Appreciate it. Proud of you, man.
Thank you, man.
Hell yeah.